Welcome to the first episode of Cloud Code Life. I'm one of your hosts, GPS, and then we have Antonio and Rishabh here. And I'm
Hello.
going to give everyone a chance to say hi and introduce themselves. But I'm super excited that we're actually doing something together after knowing uh, we all know each other for over a year now, and
Yeah,
we've been sort of
well
like
over.
talking about projects and things that we've wanted to do for a while. But yeah, let's start by introducing ourselves. What do we currently doing? What was our first role? How long have you been in tech, like working in tech? Favorite cloud platform, programming language, and how you met the other two co-hosts. Who wants to go first?
Okay, I can go. Hey everyone, my name is Antonio. I am currently an analytics engineer at a company based out of Philadelphia called Health Union, where we help people living with chronic conditions find a support community on the internet and in various platforms. My first role in tech. I wouldn't say exactly tech. It was I was a finance intern at a venture capital that was highly specialized in tech companies in Philadelphia, and I ended up being a software engineer for the finance team, building out technology, like bringing out tools for the finance team. Wasn't exactly meant to be tech, ended up being tech, ended up being the path I really wanted to follow, except not in finance specifically. I've been now in the tech space working with like degrees of tech programming and such. Almost for 3 years at this point. And my favorite cloud platform is AWS. I'm an AWS community builder, and I am 3 times certified. I just love everything that is around AWS. Favorite programming languages most likely has to be, it's a hard one, but probably I would have to say JavaScript. I work mostly in Python, but JavaScript brings me joy. So that's what I would say. And I met Rishabh and GPS. Well, I would say we all met, we're in another, like through the 100 Days of Cloud community, working on projects for the community. And as GPS mentioned, there's been like well over a year at this point, so it's pretty neat. Like, actually, time flies. Now that I really think about it, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, for those who aren't familiar, 100 Days of Cloud is sort of a community challenge where you commit yourself to 100 days of just learning cloud related topics and such. And there's a Discord, there's a website, there's a GitHub repo with like a template that you can use to document your journey and like project ideas and that kind of stuff. I will make sure to link that in the description. Oh, one thing I forgot to ask you, Alf, or to both of you, is it's a hobby because this is Cloud Code Life, right? Favorite cloud
Oh.
platform, favorite programming language, also the life aspect. Like, what's something you do that has nothing to do with your job in like tech and cloud?
Oh well, that's a hard one. I would say if I have to be like very not lame, but if I have to be basic, it's mostly video games because that's the only thing I do on the side. And I'm not even good at doing them. Like, I'm not even good at playing, but otherwise, like, I just really enjoy like movies and
Yeah.
cooking. I would say those are the three
You enjoy
major
cooking?
things. Oh
Wow.
yeah, before going into tech or before going through all my like education, higher education, like finance and stuff, I actually wanted to become a cook, and my dad stopped me saying, "Oh no, it's like a hard life and such, so you shouldn't go. You should instead go to college or something." I was like,
Mhm.
"Dang it!" Otherwise, I would have gone to culinary school, and yeah, wouldn't be here.
That's a good topic at some point we should tackle as well as like things that we wanted to get into outside of tech. Like, because I know I wanted to get into journalism. So, but
Interesting.
that's another episode. All right, Rishabh, you're up. Who
Sure.
are you? What do you do? How'd you get started? How long have you been here? Favorite cloud platform, programming language, and a hobby. Oh, and how you met us. Well, I've kind of covered it, but if you want to add anything about that, go ahead.
For sure. Yeah. So hi, my name is Rishabh, and yeah, currently I'm working as a DevOps engineer for US-based SaaS product that got acquired, and yeah, I've been in tech for almost 3 years now.
Mhm.
I would say 3 plus. And yeah, I started out as an junior IT admin as an intern, and then got into help desk and found my way into cloud. Pretty similar story to what GPS has. And yeah, my favorite cloud provider. I'm still leaning towards AWS because I'm still discovering the Azure world. I'm liking it so far, but just given on the basis of like how comfortable I am using one over the other, I think I'll stick to AWS for now. Programming language, I am not the person to answer that. I work with whatever works for me. I've tried out JavaScript, Python, and now recently I'm trying C Sharp. So yeah, I don't have a favorite.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, and for Antonio covered it pretty good. That's I think how we all met. I know I found few live streams of GPS, and all of a sudden, like 100 Days of Cloud was a thing. So that's when we kind of like really knew each other and worked on some cool projects and ideas for 100 Days of Cloud. But yeah, for a hobby, I do love outdoors. So hikes,
Soccer.
canoeing, soccer. Yeah, I'm into sports a lot, and then now it finally is a good time. Few restrictions have been lifted, and tomorrow is my first match for volleyball. Soccer started last week, so volleyball is also good to go. So I'm excited about that for tomorrow. But yeah.
Oh, do you play on a like a team, like an organized like team?
Yeah, it's a
like
league,
a club
it's
or a
local
league.
league.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Awesome, I didn't know that. All right, I'm up. My name is Gwyneth Pena Seguenza, but online I go by GPS, so that's why you hear people refer to me that way. I've been in tech for let's see, 2014, so that's like almost 7 years. So I would say 6. Yeah, I started working as like a mobile tech at an Apple store, help desk, sysadmin, cloud engineer, training architect, and currently a cloud advocate at Microsoft. Favorite cloud, Azure, of course. Favorite programming language is definitely C Sharp and the whole .NET world. Hobby, I think we're all the same because I really like video games as well, but I'm not good at them. We used to play. That's one thing I was gonna say. We used to play a lot more, and we don't we don't play FIFA or Rocket League or what's that other game we were playing once?
Strange Brigade.
Yeah, that was fun. We gotta get back on playing. But anyway, yeah, I play video games, but I'm not necessarily good at any of them. I like making YouTube videos, but that's like related to tech, so I wouldn't necessarily consider it like outside of. But it's a little bit more creative. What was another question? Oh, how we met? Yeah, we met through 100 Days, but I think we like for some reason us three we've always been connected. Like we've even outside of like cloud stuff, we've like I mentioned play video games or talked about like other things. And yeah, like a year later, or more than a year later, we decided like, hey, this is the thing we want to do. So here we are.
Yeah, it's a good time to start something. Like I feel like, especially after so much like in change, because like since we start like we met, we went through so much change in
I was thinking
career.
about that.
Yeah.
Like everyone went like I was I didn't have a job when we started. Rishabh was still it was still in help desk, right?
Yeah, just started out in cloud.
And GPS was cloud consultant. Was it a consultant period
I think
at that point?
I went cloud engineer, cloud consultant, and then I went and then training architect. So within that year. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's a crazy time. So at the point like now that we settled kind of in a good spot, I feel like it's a good time to start something new, like a new project, new something.
Yeah, I was thinking that earlier today, and because I'm currently looking for an apartment. So you guys know that. Whoops. And I'm thinking I'm probably gonna be settled for maybe like a month, and then things like change up again because you know how that whole ritual of like finding a new place and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild how much change we've gone through in just 1 year, which is another topic that we could probably tackle. And it also speaks to us as like who we are. Like we're always looking for, all right, what's a good move for me? Like, do I need to learn something? Is there some other place I should be looking for a role, or just whatever that is, and the whole networking aspect. Um, but yeah, today we had a bunch of topics that we wanted to cover, but we made a Notion list, and we decided today to tackle if we had to start all over again and end up somewhere in cloud, what things would we do differently, change, or are the things that we think basically just a reflection on our career? Things that we did great, things that we didn't do too well, things that we would have changed, and such. So we could probably just go like one by one,
Yeah.
list off a couple of things. I think first off, and I also feel like we're going to share a bunch of these, but I think first off, I would have applied to a lot more jobs because at the beginning stage for me it was like I don't think I'm qualified for any of these things, so I was just like my default was to be like, no, I'm not even going to apply. But now looking back, I'm like I could have probably at least landed an interview and perhaps maybe not get the job, but I think I would have been able to like do like great interview. And it really speaks to how this whole, I guess, like interviewing thing and like job descriptions and listings are all kind of like it's not as rigid and it's not as like standardized as people think they are. Like just because you don't match everything there, it doesn't mean like you're a qualified candidate. And I wouldn't have known that back then, but I know that. So that's like my first like regret. Is like I would have applied to jobs. I said no to myself simply because I was probably scared.
My biggest regret that I always say is that I actually didn't commit to going into programming earlier, like because this actually begs the to me to explain why. Like so, I am originally from Italy, like born and raised, and I moved to the United States back in 2016. And at that time, I just graduated marketing, and I was like, I hated marketing. Like, I absolutely dislike marketing. And so I just came to the US, like, basically preparing for applying for a master, and I felt like I wanted to go in finance. And I went to community college in San Francisco, and I just happened to end up in like a few programming classes in C++ out of like all of the like first programming languages or something. And I at that point I went through like the whole cycle, like 3 classes of C++, and I was like in love with programming, everything about like computer science related stuff and similar. And at that point I was like, either I can continue the path I was taking and apply to my master in finance, or I can wait like another 6 or 12 months, stay in San Francisco longer, take extra classes in computer science, and then apply for a master in computer science instead. And like life wanted it so that like for like personal finances and such, I couldn't actually handle to be in San Francisco for another year without starting my master, because even the master would have been like expensive. And so I went for finance, and that kind of like shifted. Like now every single time I'm like, what if I actually went and got my master in CS? Like where would I be now? Because like I felt like I didn't go enough in terms of like my formal education. When I had the chance to take formal education, I didn't go enough in the computer science space as I would have liked now to do. But I don't think like it's also necessary to do that. It's just like, given that you had the chance, it's a kind of I would do that differently. Like I would actually go into computer science much more intensely.
Interesting. I was gonna add like another point was, at the beginning when you're trying to figure out what you want to do or what you want to learn, you just learn a bunch of different things. Like you'll do like so many Hello World tutorials and things like that. Another thing I would have changed is I would have focused more earlier on. Like I remember I was learning like studying for my AWS like certified developer associate, but at the same time I was like dabbling in iOS programming and things like some web dev stuff, like just all over the place kind of. And I remember I look back at like the stress and the anxiety that caused me because I felt like I didn't know enough. Like I could never apply to jobs because I just didn't have enough like, experience or projects and things like that. But yeah, I would have saved all that frustration. I would have just focused and spent more of that time on like learning that one thing that I really actually liked, and not try to like overcome the imposter syndrome by doing more, but like less focused kind of thing.
Yeah. Spreading yourself thin instead of like actually like focusing on 2 or 3 things. I guess it's also comes hand in hand with the fact that like there are a lot of things that are interesting. Like I really like it's like going on Udemy and like you get all the courses because it's like you want to kind of learn a little bit of everything, but it's like hard to find your niche early and. Like that is a big thing because it's like, oh, for example, I really like DevOps, but I also love React, and it's like, how do you really do the 2 things together? It's like it's not as easy to find a position where you have to learn like Kubernetes and all of your DevOps related stuff, but then you have to do with like work with React and front end development and similar. Like it's curiosity is always there to bite you, kinda.
Yeah, especially at the beginning, like trying to tackle 2 big areas. You're just setting yourself up for. I mean, it's great. It's great to be curious and like, you go through Udemy and you see all those courses that are like $9. Like, yeah, why not? But yeah, I remember it caused a lot of just like stress. Like I couldn't keep up. So it was just like too much to get through.
I think I kind of would reflect on both of those points. Is like if I had to go back, especially during my like 2-year program, which I took, is like I would love to have focused more on just like computer science. I was spread out pretty thin, like working 2 jobs and trying to just get a diploma so that I'm eligible for a few jobs that would pay better than the jobs that I was doing at the time. And I remember we like same like Antonio, we did have like a C++ class, and then we also had some intro to programming stuff, even though my course was like completely networking and technical support related. But I wish I could like show some interest there. I know like I put in the least effort and just like barely passed those classes. I'm like, I just want to pass these and get on whatever comes up next. But no, I think if I would have like really focused and explored what like computer science was, I think I would have like switched programs, or maybe I would have a better understanding where I want to go. Because after that, even with my like help desk role, I like just like GPS said, I was spread out pretty thin. Like I realized early on, I think it was like my 7th or 8th month, and I was already like at 2nd level of support. We had like different tiers, and I realized like I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And that was the time when I went to like, my company was super sweet. They took me to AWS Summit just because I was interested.
Cool.
And I was like, oh, this seems interesting. So we are using someone else's network and computer to run our like workloads. I want to learn this. And I spread out myself pretty thin by learning JavaScript and like HTML, CSS, and also like getting into cloud. I know I was like doing a AWS cloud practitioner, studying for that. And the reason I was doing JavaScript and HTML is because I also wanted to be like a web dev. So I couldn't focus on like both of those at the time. And that costed me like another 6 months until I finally realized, okay, I need to just pick one and do that. And then I'll see what I can do in regards to like web dev. So I picked cloud and started doing it. But I think it will save you a lot of frustration and time. I know $10 sound like they're pretty cheap, but yeah.
I'm guilty as charged. I have spent too much, way too much. I mean, I have a lot of like in my backlog of like Udemy courses. I finished a lot of them, but I also, I don't know, I don't feel like I have like not all of them were like actually useful. Like it was interesting to go through, like learning and tinkering with stuff, but like yeah, it's always like trying to identify the niche early so that you can actually use your time more wisely. But I guess like it's like this is like I also like us being able to speak to it with the knowledge of what happened. Like it's really hard for someone that like starts early like to know what they like because they never done everything. Probably the fact that maybe now we know more what we're more interested in is really
Absolutely.
due to the fact that we have done all of that and realized I lost time here, I lost time here, I lost time here.
Yeah, I think this ties into the third point that I wanted to bring up, which is I started my channel about like a year and a half ago. I would have done that way earlier, like getting right when I was like getting into cloud, perhaps like around like maybe going from like
19.
sysadmin ish. When I got the sysadmin, like started learning Azure, I would have loved to have documented all those kind of things, because I think like you're totally right, Alf, where it's like, yeah, we can look back at these experiences because we've been through them and we know what things we could have done to make it, you know, easier. But now, in which is like something that we're all committed to, is like we're sharing like what we do, like the knowledge and the things we've learned, but also more of like the human aspect to it. Like, okay, this is what it's actually like. There's plenty of content out there that focuses on how to accomplish a task, you know, like how to use this specific service, or you know, how to create a CI/CD pipeline or stuff like that, and which we all create, and that's fantastic. But I think we also have sort of this lack of, all right, what is it actually to do this as a role, or what does this role actually, you know, what is this actual like role, like what it does, you know, things like that, right? That like sort of transparency into the field. I think there's a lot of that in like, you know, software engineering, like network engineering, that kind of stuff. But cloud being such a not necessarily new, but still sort of a niche-ish area, it lacks that. So yeah, that ties into the third point, where it's like I would have documented. I can't imagine how valuable it would have been, even if it's just for myself, to look back at the stuff that I was making when I was just getting started. But you know, that
it's like a public diary. It's like your public diary. You don't like put it under your bed. Instead, you're actually making a video and putting it out, and like and I feel like that one of the like cool things about some of the content that is out there is, as you were mentioning, the human aspect behind it, because I feel like there is a lot of content out there where people look like they have it all together, like every single point, like they have this wonderful job, they have their professional like YouTube channel, like they're working well for them, they have it, like they have social life and everything, and you don't understand how can someone like handle so many things. And like to me it's like the same. It's like sometimes I look at people and I'm like, how the heck do you manage to keep all of this stuff? Like I just recorded a video on like building like a full CI/CD pipeline on in AWS, and it like took me maybe like 4 hours and a half of like recording and such for like a 30 something minute video, and it was like draining. And there are some people that are like do this like coding like tutorials, like people like I like, I don't know, there's a like a web dev simplified, or people like, I don't know, Brad Traversy, or there's like Ben Awad used to do more of those. Like, but there's these people that just churn this like content, and I'm like, how the heck does it work? Like, why is it so complicated? And so the fact that you can actually see the human aspect in, like, when people share the human aspect, as in, oh, I'm actually Indeed, I am taking out of my personal time that I could spend with like friends and family to do this thing. It's not like oh, I'm this time management master that I can like allocate all the time that I want to do everything, and I still have all the time in the world to do what I like on a side.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
all of it is just, even for the vlogs, like those like day in the life of software engineer kind of videos that you see that are like super popular on YouTube, those are so staged. Like
Yeah.
Oh
everything
yeah.
is
Oh,
planned out and that kind of stuff. And you know,
Yeah.
uh,
To come to that point, I tried to do a day in the life of a cloud engineer,
you did?
and I
I
still
didn't know that.
have that project in my like DaVinci,
Hmm.
um, because it turned out so boring.
Well, that's what it actually is.
So I
That's
took my
real though.
GoPro. I took my GoPro. I went like I did the drive to my
Mhm.
office, and this was like last year.
Yeah.
And I went
Now I
into the
want to
office.
see that.
Yeah, and there was no one, so I'm like, this is perfect because I can record, right?
Yeah.
So I took in the camera, set it up at my desk. I'm doing my work. Get up, get coffee, come back, doing my work. Went out for lunch, came back, doing my work, and it ends. Like I drive back home, and
the
the
most
only
exciting
exciting thing
part.
happens is I just go to play volleyball, and I forget like I didn't have like the head one,
Yeah.
the I don't know what it's called, the head mount, which you can
Yeah.
wear on your
Mhm.
head.
Yeah.
And I was also not allowed to record due to the league regulations. So I'm like, this is the only exciting part I want to get on my day of a life, and I can't record it. But yeah,
the only
no, those things are like really staged.
the only exciting part in the day of the life of an engineer is when I stop being an engineer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When I'm not an engineer.
yeah. The drive was
See,
good though.
that's
And
real.
the
That's an honest experience. Also, I feel like a lot of those videos are from people who work, you know, at Fang, and you know, they live in, I guess,
campuses
more
and stuff.
like fun like cities, or you know,
Yeah,
but the majority of us, well, I'm moving, but prior to this month, the
yeah,
majority of us don't live in like, you know, those kind of places or work for those kind of companies.
yeah. And I
So
don't eat out every day, so that's a thing too.
I mean, I
yeah,
work remotely full like whole time. So a day in my life, like the most exciting part is for me to bring out my dog to pee. So literally, that's the most exciting part. Actually, for me, is when my dog starts sleeping, because at that point I can actually do productive stuff. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it would be just like skittling around everywhere.
Here's an idea: we should do a comparison.
Of
All
what?
three of us,
we'll all do days in life.
days in
Oh,
life.
days in life. Oh.
Who's
That
this
would
more
be
boring?
yeah. That is like it's a comparison. It's like one of those like eBay things where is the person that bets the lowest wins. Like the single lowest wins the whole bet. This is like who has the worst experience during the
Yeah.
day is actually crowned nothing, because like PD champion.
Yeah.
On the flip side, so we kind of mentioned things that we would have changed. Well, what are some things that we've like that worked out well for us, that were like right moves? I'll start. I think for me, not staying too long at companies, like trusting my gut when it was like I feel like it's time to move on. Like I can find something that fits me a little better, and like just trusting myself, even though I was, you know, scared. That really did work out for me. I know there were times I was like I should stay, like money, like all that kind of stuff. But it did work. Like trusting myself, like definitely worked out for me.
I would say for me it's like putting the time into preparing and like learning stuff, like actually knowing that I may have had some FOMO in terms of like people graduating at that point, because like everyone was graduating and like taking the time to vacation, like travel and such, and I was home preparing for AWS certifications and learning stuff like that. So I feel like that actually paid more than its share of dividends for me, because it's actually created opportunities and created like new ways for me to engage not only at work but outside of work. And so for me, the fact that I decided to take the time when I could have done more fun stuff worked out well enough.
Yeah, for me, it was this just one advice that I got from one of my my mentors at the job while I was still in help desk. Is he was trying to explain me what cloud was. I had no idea, no way, zero idea what cloud was, and I was doing so. I have been doing two jobs for the past 2 years, like when I was still a student. So what I did is, with my help desk job, I still kept my the gas station job. So I used to work like at the help desk job for the day, and then I would go in the evening. But that person said like just quit that job and like focus and like upskill yourself and like get into cloud, because you don't need a traditional like computer science degree. Just start with a basic certification and make sure like you have a good full stack projects that you can show and why like you're able to explain them. And I'm like, okay. And he wanted me to like trust him blindly, and I did. And I also agree, and that's the whole story why they took me to the AWS summit, just to like make me realize how big this thing is. And yeah, that was the great decision I had, because I remember some of my friends and some of my old colleagues at the gas station said it's a bad idea. I should still like keep my second job, because I was still under probation, and I guess it all worked out in the end. But yeah,
that to lean into both of those points, like Alf, what you said about, you know, when people were going out, you were at home studying, and sort of not following what others were doing, kind of just like doing your own thing and leaning into yourself. I think that is such an important message, because I felt like FOMO first, like, you know, I'm 27 now, so I felt it since I started, you know, sort of trying to figure out what my career is. So that was probably like, you know, I don't know, 19, whatever. Ever since then, I've, you know, yeah, I've gone out and things like that, but I've never really, I guess, lived what, you know, quote, the typical, like what you're supposed to do in your 20s and things like that. And I used to feel bad about that. I used to feel like, oh, I'm wasting my, like my youth, or I'm wasting this energy that I could be going on, sort of meeting other people, or like, you know, I don't know, partying and things like that. Right. But like you mentioned, it worked out great. And now I, you know, I do a little bit more now. Still very much focused and such like that. But it's funny because, yeah, it's like kind of like what everyone tells you to do, like, oh, you know, 20s is your time to like live your life and kind of things, and it hasn't like felt that way ever. I think we all sort of share that
yeah.
opinion.
I think, I don't know, like I don't want to sound rude, but I think being an immigrant plays like a huge role in that too. Because it's really different when you come to like a country that you don't know, and like you're starting your new life there. Yeah, I think we all share the same story of like not enjoying much in our 20s and like not partying.
Yeah, I think we have that like chip on our shoulder. Well, to be fair, I'm not an immigrant. I've born and raised here in the States, moved to do middle school, high school in Ecuador, and then 2 semesters of college, and then moved back. So it's not fair for me to say immigrant, but like my parents are, you know, immigrants, I guess, first generation, whatever. Being a woman in tech, minority in tech, whatever. Chip on my shoulders I may possibly have. But yeah, we have that grind to like, all right, yeah, I could go out, or I could stay home and like do this Hello World tutorial.
Yeah, I feel like to Risha's point, I feel like a lot of like my decision have been shaped by being an immigrant on visas, especially like in the US, where it's very not easy to maintain like your status, because everything is tied to your ability to find a job, so you're always required to like produce, like show yourself, make sure that you can prove yourself and stuff, find this job, find this opportunity, or you have to go back, or you have to leave, you can stay here and such. And so that has led, like, definitely for me has been like very hard mentally, especially during college, because I didn't feel like I started feeling that I studied quantitative finance for my graduate degree, and I felt like it wasn't where I wanted to be, because I felt like it was cool, like technically speaking, it was interesting, like a lot of quantitative thinking and such, very interesting, but it didn't feel right in terms of like, is this what I want to do with my life? Is this where I want to move? Like, is this what my mark on the world is? Like building model for people to get money out of nowhere and just like be rich? Like, I don't know, didn't feel right. But at the same time, it was like, oh, you have to do it, otherwise you have to force yourself to do this, otherwise it's like you have to be pushed out. And it's all this thinking that you have, like when you're in this like immigrant state of mind, where you have to always show up and do extra just to prove yourself that you can be as good as someone else that is like already a citizen, for example. So for me, it played a lot in like my mental state, and but also it played a lot in like the drive that I have to other things. I don't disagree with people that say and it's the 20s, you have to live it, and like, yeah, correct, you can, if you have the opportunity, if you have the privilege to take the time and enjoy all of that, great. For me was like, it's not that I didn't have the privilege, because I could have done a lot of those things. It's just it's the combination of like the state of mind where I have to force myself to be productive and because I want to maintain a certain like livelihood in a place where I started calling my home, like my wife is here and everything. So it's just like a matter of I have to prove myself to be here. And it's a little bit, and so the FOMO of not being able to go and travel with the friends after graduation gradually turned into, I'm doing this because I want to secure my future.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely like a drive that is missing from a lot of things. Like a lot of people are missing that like extra step that say, hey, you should do this because of that.
You touched on something interesting there. And this is such a hard question to answer, but if you look back at it in you trying to figure out like where you want to take your career or stuff like that, can you name some things that would have made that easier for you, like that decision easier for you?
Would you say in terms of career path, like what to do, or
yeah, I think that's like a golden question everyone asks. Well, I don't know what I want to do with my life, right? And like you like all of us here have sort of found some kind of path. I'm not saying like we're 100% set on it and we've figured out passion or whatever, but we have some sort of idea, right?
Yeah.
And do either of you have sort of any tips on like things that would have made that process easier for you?
Mentorship would have made it easier for me. Like I had, I wouldn't say a consistent like mentor figure, like career mentor. I'm not talking about like father figures or something like that, because I like family and everything. I have family and love my family and everything. But it's like this career mentorship. I had always like these some degree of figures around my career, but they were all coming from a position where it was just like people that I network with that I just remained in contact with, and they were more senior to me. It wasn't an intentional mentorship, you know, like where they actually cared about like my growth and put like the effort, and I put the effort in repaying that like like help to and providing it forward, like paying it forward in a like mentorship relationship. And I feel like having that and at least knowing what worked for them versus not work for them would have helped me understand earlier that like finance wasn't really my cup of tea. And it wasn't, if not that it's not my cup of tea, it's just that it's not aligned with my belief system. Like that's not the place where I want to be, because that's not the place where that I don't feel like I'm providing anything material helpful to the world. While at least now at the company I am at, we are helping millions of people living with conditions help like find help and support. And that's something at least is like, oh, I mean, I'm working with data, but at least that data is driving some change in someone. In finance, the biggest drive is usually someone's wallet becomes bigger, and I don't know about that.
That's a good point, and I think Rishabh, you and I will probably be able to speak to this a little more. Where it's like, I think through our experience with help desk, we've had exposure to people in like just a wide range of positions. Like I remember having conversations with the CEO, CFO, CTO, infrastructure team, more senior level help desk people, people who did marketing, people who did more of like social media things, like all of that. Like and you know, because I was there sort of like fixing something or helping them or trying to figure something out with them, it'd be easy to sort of bring up conversation and have sort of an insight on like what kind of work they did. And you know, whenever I wanted to dive a little deeper, they'd be, you know, super open to having this conversation or showing me those kind of things.
Yeah.
But I feel like those, I think it's easier one to find mentorship when you have a little bit more confidence in your skill set and you're sort of more higher up. And I don't really know how to address that. Or if it's just more people putting themselves out there and as not necessarily as mentors, but like, yeah, here's what I do. And this ties into sort of like content. Here's what I do. You know, the sort of, this is what my day looks like. This is how I got here and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. Like that would have been very, very helpful.
No, I think, yeah, that's a great tip. And yeah, my suggestion is like, I don't know. I think I was fortunate, but I don't know. I haven't changed companies.
Yeah.
So I don't know how other companies do, but I was able to like shadow software engineers, solutions architects, and like IT admins. While I was like still not offered a full-time role, I was still an intern. I was like able to shadow them and see what they do and how their days look like. But yeah, that did like kind of, I knew where I wanted to go just based on that. Like, okay, no, software engineering is not for me. Like, I don't like it. And then like I sat with the IT admin and I'm like, okay, this is pretty interesting. So that's where like I went for my internship and then focus more towards it, because I was given this like open opportunity, like pick your poison, where you want, which team you want to work with. And then gradually, like I didn't end up in IT admin because like I kind of started exploring the cloud team, and then I shadowed them and I'm like, okay, this is more interesting, so I'll go here. So yeah, exploring and like just, and as Gwen said, like if there are people who are more public about what they do, I think it would help like beginners like us 2 years ago to figure it out. And I think it will be more accessible, because I don't think everybody has like such a transparent company where you can just shadow everyone.
Yeah, I wish I was different. I wish more companies would be open. To be fair, I don't know what it looks like now. It could be way different. Every company that I've worked at has allowed some sort of like shadow. Like you have an hour a week or an hour every other week, or like if you get all your tasks done, you can go, you know, talk to whoever you want, kind of thing. I think in sort of like specifically help desk, like that's pretty typical, along with like providing like, hey, you can get a certification a year, we'll pay for it, that kind of stuff, which I think is fantastic. But yeah, encouraging companies to one, provide resources for their people to upskill, and then also like, hey, encourage, because then you also get like a better sense of like a team, because you're encouraging people to work with each other, learn from each other, and that kind of thing. But yeah,
I think
great tips.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that my like the company I worked for was only like 30 employees at the time. We recently got acquired by a huge enterprise, but until then, like the like the CTO and CEO, CFO kind of like higher level executives share this belief that like we have to be transparent and like invest in who we hire because that's how you make people stay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and
I mean,
like,
you're a perfect example.
yeah. And I have shadow engineers that like have spent 20 years and they're still working. So,
Oh wow.
yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool.
In following up, like in terms of like good things that worked out for us, like what would you say is like one thing that worked out for us, for you, for like worked out for us that you would not suggest other people to actually try? Because it worked out for us because it's not a foolproof way, but it was just like a mixture of things happening at the time. For me, like my example was something that worked out for me was putting working on actually auditing a lot of like random classes during my degree. I audited a ton of random data science classes that I wasn't taking, but I was participating with other people and helping people with like helping people with their projects. And doing that actually landed me an internship at the company that then hired me full time later. But I honestly, out of like that, when I got that degree, like with that internship, I didn't think I was ready for like the internship. I don't know how I got the internship, but I completely felt like, okay, I'm gonna bomb this and that's not gonna work at all because I basically just was going through a lot of classes and I was going through auditing like maybe I was taking 3 classes per quarter and auditing 3 classes per quarter. So I was literally doing like a ton of additional work, and I don't think it worked out for me, but I don't think it's something that works out generally because it's literally spreading myself a lot of very thin. And then I happened to grasp a few things that worked for the specific internship, but otherwise I wouldn't have been able to actually collect all of it, all of the knowledge to actually be a professional in the field. Like I wouldn't, so that's one thing that I wouldn't suggest people to do because even if it worked for me, it's probably not gonna work entirely.
Yeah.
I like that our points have like something that's worked for us, but also probably won't work with someone else. And I would say, like the thing that I brought up was like, you know, I trusted my gut when it was like it's time to leave, time to find something else. That is such. I'm not saying, and when I said that, I didn't mean it as advice. I'm just saying it's something that worked for me because it is such a delicate thing
It
to
is.
talk about, like someone's career. Like, and when people ask us often, how do I get started? Like, what roles can I go for? What company should I apply to? And we have to understand that like a job is more than a technical skill thing that you can do, or that you are more than like like a stack that you put on your resume and bullet points that you put on your resume, right? It's such a delicate topic to like talk about. But yeah, I remember like I think leaving my first like help like Apple store to help desk, I didn't have anything lined up. I just quit. But I was also like I think I was 21 or 22 around that time. So like, you know, you don't care about anything. Well, I didn't care about anything. I'm not going to be like that general. I don't really care about anything. I was like, all right, I'll find something. Which now I look back, I'm like, it was extreme luck that I actually ended up finding something without like currently being employed, right? Then after that, I made jumps around and I did have things lined up. But again, the things that worked for me, I would say, I'm not telling you to stay at some place forever or to stay at there for only like 2 months, but understand that making moves is much more than just like, hey, what worked for someone else, like I should do that too, right? And like you may need to stay at somewhere just because of, hey, you might not feel challenged, but you need the salary for, you know, or the income, and you need to stay longer for, and that's totally fine, right? You don't have to be 100% passionate about something for it to work for you. Yeah, so I guess to tie those two together, I would say like, yeah, it may or may not work for you.
I don't have an advice or like a tip, but I have a funny story that kind of relates to this point is so our college had placements. So placements basically mean like internships, and there were like 35 companies that came on campus and were like kind of looking for 2 interns. So we were 80 students, so there will be 10 students who will be left out, and those 10 students have to then like either find an internship at the college itself because we had IT department, or they can find somewhere out by looking up the internships by themselves. I was really well prepared, like personally, but like I didn't spend much time on projects and resumes.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went in. I'm like, I'll get it because I have like a really good GPA. That's what I all did is like maintain my GPA, and I'm like, I'll get it. But you need to, and this is like my first time interviewing here for a technical role in Canada, and it's really different as compared to how things are in India. But yeah, I didn't get any roles, and I couldn't get into the college too. So I'm like, I'm the least favorite person. Nobody wants to hire me as an intern, and that's when like it kind of all worked out. Like the dean of her program, she reached out. She's like, hey, there's this company who wanted like some other program intern, but we are not doing internships for them at this period. Would you like to go and see what's in it for you? I'm like, sure. Then I went in and they did a casual 15-minute talk. And they're like, yeah, we really needed an intern. There were some benefits with the government that are tied when you like hire interns and stuff. So yeah, I went in. They kind of explained me what I have to do, and I'm like, okay, I'm interested. So that's how it all worked out, and yeah.
So long story short, stay humble and prepare yourself, even if you feel.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. All right, let's wrap it up. I think we have a little section we want to do at the end that we recommend content of the week. All right.
A jingle now. It's content of the week.
Someone needs to do that. That would be awesome.
Every time.
Speaking of jingles, you have something sort of jingle related. Do you want to share it with us?
Yes. We should actually. Forrest Brazil, for who doesn't know, he works at Cloud Guru, is an AWS serverless hero, and is like a gifted musician. He released a new, very cute and wholesome song just 2 days. So you should actually check it out. It's a very gorgeous and very, very funny as usual song. It's called That Sinking Feeling, and it's all about the experience as an intern and you break prod, basically. So it's a very another cool song after all AWS services in one song and all his other songs. So you should go check that one out.
Force's ability to make these songs is insane because it's not only like it's catchy, it's it's clever, it also like the lyrics and the content makes sense, right? And it's like it's relatable, it's great. Forrest is a fantastic person. I think we've all sort of like spoken with him personally. I've worked with him for a little bit at my time at ACG, and he's just someone who not only is super talented, very smart, but also has a strong commitment to helping like the people get into cloud, like the cloud resume challenge, absolute fantastic challenge that we all recommend people to get done if you're getting started. So yeah, big shout out to Forrest for that. I haven't seen this. I think I saw his tweet where he said, "Oh, I want to do like something silly because sort of the AWS social media Infinidash kind of stuff was getting kind of negative kind of thing, right?" But yeah, big shout out to Forrest. I'll have to watch this too. Rishabh, you got something you want to share?
Sure. Yeah. Danny, he's a great guy if you're like really into AWS, Python, DevOps world. He has some great, not videos, but he just like posts threads on Twitter and writes like amazing blogs. And recently he has an amazing thread of if you're starting into or getting into AWS and are starting to look at some AWS certifications. it's an amazing guide to just navigate through like what would be best for you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he has listed some great resources too in that tweet. So yeah, shout out to him.
Danny, also another fantastic person who is in cloud. It also encourages the community and fosters that, and isn't really about the tech Twitter drama or is HTML a programming language? Those kind of tweets. Like his tweets are quite valuable and stuff. So shout out to Danny.
On the grifter.
Yeah. I was gonna say, we totally need to do an episode on certifications, not just like our experiences, but just thoughts and opinions we might have. All things certifications. All right, mine. Machine learning for beginners. The Azure Advocates have put together this GitHub repo. There's lessons in there. There's theory in there. There's hands-on things that you can get done, and it's a solid. I think it's like a 12-week thing. I should have taken. I think it's 12-week, right? It's like a 12-week program that you pace yourself and you go through it. They did that one. There's a web dev one. I'm linking just the machine learning one, but there's a web dev one, and I think there's one more that's out already. I can't remember, but I'll make sure if there is, I'll link it here. But it's just fantastic. Stuff for people to get started with if they're interested in that space. I sort of want to do it, but I'm also like, it's like I want to get more into like Blazor, but I'm pulled in like a bunch of different ways. But yeah, shout out to them, always doing awesome work too. And I'm part of the team now, so shout out to myself, I guess.
By the way, there's also the cloud computing self-guide.
Oh yeah, let's plug ourselves. Yes. Self-taught cloud computing guide. We have to talk about like what things we want to add to that. But yeah, that thing's at like 1.2K stars, which is insane. If you're looking to get into cloud, take a look at that. It might be something useful to you. If you have any questions, just open up an issue there. If you want to help us, we're always open to contributions. You can do a PR there. I'm thinking we should, since it is beginner focused, we should add sort of a lesson or something on how like to use GitHub and like create a PR.
Sure.
And something like that. But yeah, we'll have that linked also.
Kind of want to put it also like not only guide to cloud computing and also given that it's also like some scripting code and stuff. There's a lot of tooling around that you may need to learn, and GitHub is Git and GitHub are pretty interesting, so there will be one thing that may be added in the near future.
You know what remember, Alf, at one point you and I, this is I think a year ago, we spoke about like you wanted to build something around like learning paths, like you plug in where you're at and we'll kind of recommend it. I think we have a lot of potential to use this as that, like, hey, this, maybe upskill in this area and you'll probably be covered, that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's like the talk we'll have.
It could be put out like as an amazing table, and then
it kind of reminds me of because it kind of reminds me of like those what's the name, roadmaps. I think the website is roadmap.sh.
Yeah. But that
there's so many things on that.
Yeah, they're so big.
It's overwhelming.
Oh yeah, that is the key issue. Yes,
yeah.
That is the biggest issue I have with those. Is like it is so much that is like it doesn't provide enough guidance on like the smaller steps because it just says like version control systems, boom, and then there is like reposting services, boom, and then there is like package manager, CSS architecture, build tools, pick a framework, and it's a little bit oh my god, like what do I do from that point? Like how do I learn that like GitHub, how do I learn Git and similar? So those might be more useful, and actually providing some free or openly available resources to learn at each step would be the next step in doing that.
Especially like for beginners, and I think that's why like the amount of attention and love this project got is because it is well like laid out, and like the resources are accessible. They're not like paid resources.
I think all of them are free pretty much. I think they're except for the books, the Linux books.
Yeah.
But still,
but they come under good to like read or.
Yeah. Also, they might have online versions for free. Some of them do. But anyway, Yeah, we have a lot of potential. I think instead of like you mentioned, getting a little bit more specific on certain things, like maybe we can break down things a little bit more, but in not like add more. I think because I think we've covered, but like you mentioned, yeah, there's tooling in certain areas that we can
Yeah.
we can
And I
get a little bit
think,
more
yeah,
specific
this
about.
is like broad enough right now.
Yeah.
Like it's good as a starting point,
Mhm.
because then, like as Antonio said, like you have to get into like
A niche.
really deep. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
you
niche.
specialize. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're looking for a job, this is like really good if you cover the bases. And because every company is different, right? Some of
Yeah.
them use, like, we don't use Kubernetes, but I'm still a DevOps engineer. But if I look at every other job nowadays, it
You
says
have to. Yeah.
Kubernetes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, I think it's at a really good place right now. We just need to make it like more focused and like have more
Resources.
lessons. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Rishabh, we spoke about this, but we want to build something and like provide a project that they can build throughout the phases. Like they'll start maybe in phase 2 or maybe phase 1 even.
I saw
and build
your
that completely.
code for Pomodoro. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, there's a lot of potential that I think we might be able to pair, like talk about that project a little bit, updates with this podcast, or who knows, we'll do another series or YouTube, or we'll live stream it, or who knows what we'll do. Yeah, so many side projects. Goodness gracious. Okay. Anyway, shout outs. Anyone have shout outs? I have one. I want us to use this space to just accelerate people, friends or strangers or internet friends or whatever that have shared their successes with us. I got a comment on my channel from Gordon. Oh, should I say the name? It's kind of public. Could always bleep this out. All right, I got a comment on my channel. It says, "Have been watching your videos that helped me land my first job with AWS as a cloud engineer. Thumbs up." So shout out to you for landing your first job. That's awesome. I'm always so happy when people say that they, started learning, things started clicking, or they landed a role. I think that's fantastic. Who knew that would come from starting the YouTube channel? So big shout out to you. And yeah, anyone else who supports this podcast. People have been liking the graphics, so that's cool. I hope people listen. We'll see. Maybe we're just talking to ourselves.
Well, having a chat is never bad.
Someone should learn animation and make those graphics talk.
Oh my goodness, we should have clips, animated clips. That would be so cool.
Oh well. This reminds me of me in I think it's the first year of college, and I actually started a YouTube gaming channel where I actually was doing all of that. I think the videos are still up somewhere in Italian, but they're still up eventually. Maybe. I don't know if I will disclose them because they might be pretty cringy, but they're pretty cool.
All right, that's it for this episode. Any final thoughts?
Well, let us know if there's anything, because we always want to have the outro with the content of the week, shout outs or answers. So if you have any answer that you would like us to answer to, something like you want to have questions that you would like answer to and you would like to hear our opinion or anything, just feel free to send us a tweet, tweet at us. There is also the Twitter account for this podcast as well. You can tweet out too. So just feel free to send everything to us, and we'll make sure that you're gonna be featured here.
Yeah. All right.
All right then. See you in the next one. Peace.